Hello, Full Circle listeners. This is Martha.
And this is Charles.
Before we get to the episode, we want to take a moment to address the June 24th Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. This decision stripped away the federal right to a safe and legal abortion for all Americans who can become pregnant.
Restricting access to comprehensive reproductive care, including abortion, threatens the health and independence of all Americans. This decision could also lead to the loss of other rights.
To learn more about what you can do to help, go to podvoices.help. We encourage you to speak up and spread the word, and of course vote in November like our rights depend on it, because they do.
Thank you for listening. Now on to the show. In this episode, we talk about Florida teens have had it with the anti-LGBTQ insanity of adults.
The worst internet trolls still manage to outdo themselves with awfulness.
Republicans should be careful what they wish for because they just might get it.
Greg Abbott severely jeopardizes the safety of all abused Texas children by trying to mess with trans kids because their parents love them or something.
Welcome to Full Circle, the podcast.
Coming to you from the dining room table at East Barbary Lane, welcome to another episode of Full Circle, the podcast. A weekly visit to our home where we squeeze a few headlines through our decidedly queer lens and see what happens. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and recovering from a holiday weekend.
I am your host, Charles Tyson Jr.
And I'm your host, Martha Madrigal. Welcome to the Full Circle table. Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
So the orange juice container is smaller in the grocery store. It's no longer a half a gallon. Well, the one wasn't.
Right.
They changed the size of it. That was so weird. Like, I remember my parents talking about this shit in the 70s.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like when inflation was a thing and all that. And like they're making it smaller and it costs more and all, like all that. And I thought that was just like shit old people say.
Right.
Well, it may be, I am of a certain age, but
we became the old people.
I guess I picked up the orange juice container in the supermarket and it was no longer a half gallon.
It was most of a half gallon.
It's like 3 quarts and change or something. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not quite right. But visually, it's like it takes a second.
Right.
So I'm just saying that's one of the things that are happening.
Well, this is less refreshing.
It's happening. Right. Yeah. Because, 3 of us had breakfast and we damn near drank all the orange juice. I'm like, that doesn't usually happen.
This was a brand new ass carton.
Right. And then it was not what it used to be. It might just be that brand. It was a cheap brand.
Oh, maybe.
I always look for the one that's on sale.
Smart.
Counting the pennies.
Right.
And all that. So it was Labor Day weekend.
It was.
I don't know how everyone spends Labor Day weekend, but we spent it pretty much just laying around. Yeah. I mean, we did some stuff.
We did the opposite of labor.
We had a house guest.
We did.
And we all just kind of chilled. We did go grocery shopping.
We needed it.
We did.
We did.
Yeah, we put off grocery shopping to the point where I had I don't know, a quarter bag of barley and not a lot of food in the house.
You were getting creative.
Well, right. So that's why, we ran out Friday and then we ran out again on Saturday. And now the pantry's full. Woohoo. I can cook for a very long time with a full pantry.
Right.
And a full freezer. And really, the freezer's mostly full of just frozen vegetables and blocks of tofu.
What more do you need, though?
And a bag of Impossible Burgers.
Yeah. That's exciting for me.
Yeah, as long as I got, we can create. And thank God you like rice and beans, because
I do.
I make many variations. of rice and beans.
I will take it.
I switch up the rice. I switch up the beans. Switch up the seasoning.
Let's get some of this podcast business out of the way.
Let's do that. I haven't figured out breakfast flavored rice and beans yet.
But you will.
Maybe. Yes, let's do the podcast business, shall we?
Please take the time to rate and review us. 5 stars or more, please. Our Patreon, patreon.com/fullcirclethepod is always open for more patrons. We love you. You're keeping us alive and happy. We actually have some lovely reviews from some of you out there.
Do we?
And they're all 5 stars.
I love that.
Right?
Thank you.
Amber and Maddie said, Charles and Martha are so much fun to listen to. Great show covering important topics, and what can I say? I enjoy their voices. Very important for a podcast. Thank you, Amber and Maddie. And Pokemon Gavin says, excellent, strong, and well done podcast. Very interesting topics that inform and encourage you to think.
Love that.
Yes, and Logak, he says, great podcast. Love these hosts. Great interviews. Very entertaining. I would recommend this podcast to everyone. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to, let us know that you appreciate what we're doing and you're listening. And
very much appreciated. And you get interactions now with the what's that thing called?
Oh, Discord.
That.
Yes.
I almost called it dongle. I don't know why that was the word that came to mind.
Because you like saying that word.
I do like saying dongle. Yeah. It sounds dirty, but it's not.
Right. We're getting a lot of new listeners, it seems.
We are. We have some new countries.
Yeah, Jamaica and Greece and Vietnam and Cambodia.
Hey now.
Right?
Yeah, welcome all.
Yes. What's up, y'all?
Welcome all.
Welcome aboard. What else is new with us? Bruce Valanche's show is coming.
It is coming, yes. Bruce Valanche is coming, and we have tickets for the 29th of September. Yes. And we should email him and tell him that. Because hopefully we will actually get a chance to meet in person.
That'd be great.
That was an interview I really loved doing.
Yeah.
Because he's a comedy writer who is behind some of my favorite material ever. And to get the chance to spend an hour with him was really a lot of fun.
It was great, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the weekend. We're working up to the weekend. Today is Tuesday, September, 6th?
Yes.
Yeah. We are working up to our mega weekend. I will be a businesswoman. Yeah, I will be living in a hotel for 3 days and working to co-run a large conference.
Yes.
So this is the culmination of a summer's worth of work happening this weekend, and the dog is going to go visit with Aunt Kathy, and the cats are going to fend for themselves for a bit.
Right.
We'll get Aunt Joan to come check on them.
And thank goodness it's finally Fringe Festival time, which means I'll be working a lot.
Yeah.
At the Performance Garage.
Right. You've got work and I got work and there's all kinds of work, which is really good because.
Right.
Yeah. So, but this is like going to be the busiest weekend for a long time. And then on Sunday, once all that is done, at least I will be able to attend LGBT Quiet.
Yes.
So that's happening.
If I'm not working, I will be there too. If I am, send them my love.
Yeah, taking some of our Transway family to see and meet the kids putting together LGBT Quiet. And that'll be performed in Manayunk. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the culmination of their work. We got to see a little of their rehearsal and meet everyone involved.
Yeah.
So, these things are like coming back full circle to us.
Branding.
Yeah. Bruce Valanche talked to us. We talked to him, April, May?
Something like that.
I don't know. But
early on in our podcasting career.
Yeah, he talked to us about this. It's a play about a big fan of Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Is basically the premise, and he actually got not only permission, but I think Dolly has something to do with this, so it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see. So yeah, that's happening. It's coming. It's just I'm trying to gear up for the weekend. This is like the last, because tomorrow we're going to be yelling at each other and searching for clothing and trying to pack bags. And,
right.
Yeah, it's not going to be. Aunt Kathy did just offer to pick up Ailey on Wednesday night, which
we might take her up.
I'm like, ooh. Ooh.
Right.
That might work.
Yeah, we went from the summer not being all that busy to now all kinds of busy for a while. Wow.
Right. Yeah, September's going to be crazy.
I'll take it.
And October probably will be too, so.
Yep.
Yeah, so we had our last weekend of lazing and eating and drinking and not doing a whole lot of anything else.
Right.
But I still feel like I need to recover from it.
Right?
Yeah.
Doing nothing is exhausting.
I'm not used to peopling, I think. I mean, besides you.
Right.
I'm just not used to peopling for days in a row.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Most of my work is done, via email and text message and occasional Zoom.
Right.
So, yeah.
We'll see how
we
this
peopled
weekend
all weekend.
Yeah,
I mean, it was good practice for September, though.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, man. So, I don't know what else is up. The cats are still alive. The dog's still alive. We're still here.
Yeah. We're still here. Still doing the thing.
Still doing the thing.
Amazingly enough, there's a bit of good news this week.
Beyond all of the good news? Or is that your lead-in?
I was trying to segue, see.
Oh, this is a segue. Okay, continue.
Yeah, we have a bit of good news, starting with Sarah Palin.
Okay.
She just lost a special election for Alaska's only House seat to a Democrat.
Yeah, to Mary Peltola, who is not only a native Alaskan, but also a Democrat. Now, this was a special election. So this fills the seat. So Mary will be filling that seat now through January, right? But in November, Sarah Palin is still on the ballot,
right?
As is Peltola, because that's for the actual term.
Right.
This is replacing somebody. I don't know. I'm tired, so this is hit or miss, kids. But yeah, this was to replace. It was vacated by the March death of Alaskan Republican rep Don Young. So, a lot of folks are certainly speculating that the fact that the Democrat won bodes well for the midterms. I sure as hell hope so.
Right.
But again, they're both on the ballot once again in November. I hope and I expect the same outcome. I just want, of course, Palin was backed by Trump, not naturally.
You betcha.
Yeah. But here's what's interesting. Palin was quoted as saying, "Though we're disappointed in this outcome, Alaskans know I'm the last one who'll ever retreat."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you abdicated as governor.
That part.
Did you forget that? Like,
of course she did.
They've actually literally watched you retreat from political office.
Yep.
So I don't know how they would know now that you're the last one to do what you've actually done, sweetheart.
She don't know what words mean.
mazel. Yeah, she's just, yeah. And there was a meme. Well, let's just say, she's aging. Because someone said, there was a mean meme. Memes can be mean.
Yes.
But there was a meme with a recent picture of Sarah Palin saying that Saturday Night Live, what's her name? The brilliant comedian.
Oh, Tina Fey.
Tina Fey can no longer play Sarah Palin, so it's left to Mickey Rourke.
Oh.
And then I looked back at the picture and I went, oh. Because she did kind of look like Mickey Rourke in the picture. So I didn't say it. I didn't write it. But I did giggle. I giggled. I did. I admit it.
I said it. I did it. I willfully admit it.
Yeah. So, good news though, because Sarah did not just walk in. And Alaska, I think Alaska's had a Republican in that seat for a very long time.
Yeah.
50 years is coming to mind.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time, and they handed it to a Native Alaskan who is also a Democrat. So, yay.
Right.
May that trend continue, folks.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I will take it.
Me too. So on Thursday the 1st, President Joe Biden addressed the nation from Independence Hall, right in Philadelphia. How this happening escaped me, I don't know, but I had Transway that night. I didn't know in advance till the selfies started coming in from Independence Hall, because half the people we know in Philadelphia were there,
right?
Who are politically active anyway. So we probably could have snagged tickets, but
had we, yeah.
Anyway, we did watch after the fact. So I'm wondering, what were your thoughts?
I love that he addressed the underlying concerns that I think we've all had, like this extremism that's taking over the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he name-checked Orange Voldemort several times. He said MAGA Republicans several times.
Right.
He mentioned them being a threat to democracy, and like he said the thing that we were all thinking.
Well, I think the important thing he said was, this is not normal.
Right.
This is not normal. And, you know, this is an extremism that threatens the country. And it's not taking over the country, but it is spreading among all Republicans.
Right.
If anything, you know, if I was going to fault him on anything, it would be being too kind.
He's so fucking diplomatic.
He is diplomatic, and he is doing his level best to be a statesman and work with Republicans, and they are getting things passed narrowly. Not as much as I would like to see.
Right.
Not as much as many of us would like to see, but that's why I think they need a stronger majority in the Senate. And right now, Democrats need to hold the House. You know, for me, it was reminiscent of the way I remember people looking at politics. You know, because he said this is a group of sore losers.
Yes.
And it, I mean, I don't know if he used that exact phrase, but I certainly have. You know, folks who just don't accept the outcome of an election and are now working hard to undermine our electoral system rather than accept that people don't want what you have to sell.
Right.
And, you know, I remember my grandmother singing Happy Days Are Here Again when Jimmy Carter got elected.
Okay.
I remember that. You know, I mean, I knew my grandmother was a Democrat, but again, politics was not a great big thing. But the country was healing, I think, from, you know, the Watergate scandal.
Right.
And Richard Nixon. And Ford was, kind of a placeholder. But she was so happy because she just loved him. She thought he was just and I still believe he was an honest man in the White House, and he was, you know, that was probably his problem.
Yeah.
You know, because God knows the person who succeeded him was not. St. Reagan was an abysmal failure by every measure I have ever used.
Yeah.
But, you know. Anyway, I just remember that time when it was like, okay, you have the battle, you fight it out, and, you know, the winner is the winner, and the country is supposed to stand united behind the president.
Right.
And that is what this country did for 9/11, at least briefly. And I felt it was a squandered moment because, you know, I felt it was a stolen election. So, you know, I was a very cynical person at that point in time. It never made me go out and lie It never made me go out and fabricate a reality.
Right.
I was really disgruntled that Al Gore did not win that election when he got more votes. I was really disgruntled that they stopped counting votes in Florida because the Supreme Court said to.
Right.
I will always hold that election was not clean.
Right.
But Americans stood together and said, we are Americans.
Right.
And that was 21 years ago. And now, what this president really did try to do was unite us and say, we're bigger than this. We're, democracy is more important than petty infighting.
Right.
And our future is more important. And there were folks on bullhorns screaming in the background. Fortunately, we couldn't really hear what they were saying.
Right, but he did acknowledge them.
He acknowledged them.
And their right to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's almost what he said, isn't it? Let's see. I took notes. He absolutely talked about rejecting violence as a political tool.
Yes, Lord.
The core of democracy. It is not guaranteed. It has to be protected and stood for. He acknowledged those with bullhorns, and he said they are entitled to be outrageous.
Yeah.
In a democracy. And he said, good manners is not something they've ever suffered from.
Right.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was raised to respect authority as a polite white, perhaps too much. We've talked about that, that idea of not questioning authority, that idea of, everyone in authority as our friend is not a healthy place to come from. But by the same token, some of this is a mess.
Yeah.
And I don't mind when people get loud at all when the facts are on their side, when the truth is on their side.
Right.
Unfortunately, it happens even in our community, even among liberals, when the facts are not. When a mob mentality is a mob mentality, and it's not always healthy, and it's not always good, and God knows it's not always right.
Yeah.
But sadly, because, I'll say it, I'm not the president. Republicans have no spine. By and large, they have no spine.
It would seem that way.
Their finger is in the wind, and that is how they quote unquote govern. And the fact that there is a small minority of them who are these MAGA cultists who refuse to call the blue sky blue, they don't stand against those in their own party. That's a fundamental difference. And we just talked about that. I don't remember a Republican when everything went down with Nixon. They jumped ship. They were like, yeah, no, get him.
Right.
That's just what happened. Like, this is not okay. This is not how we, and oops, we were caught with our hand in the cookie jar. It's not okay. And yeah, move on. And, that is what I see among the politicians that I know personally.
Right.
That is what I want to see more of in the world. But, Democrats are much more inclined to call out the sins of their own than Republicans are at the moment. Right now, it's anything goes.
Yeah, it's insane.
So I thought it was a good speech.
It was.
I thought it was an important speech. I have not read and don't plan to the feedback from the right.
Why?
Well, exactly. I don't care what they have to say about it.
Right.
I appreciated it. I appreciated what he was saying. It echoes everything I've been saying.
Yeah.
We can talk about anarchy in December. Right now, we need to talk about democracy.
Right.
And how important it is to us. And, we need to, sometimes you do need to hold your nose and vote.
That part.
And, democracy is a messy, ongoing process. And if you, at any point you throw your hands up and say none of it's worth it, then everything you are against wins often. It's just like if you're not in the fight.
right,
then you're not in the fight. And the very least you can do is exercise the right that so many Americans fought and died for, and that is to vote. And the other side of that, and he mentioned it, is having your vote counted, which of course Republicans are working to not have do. And he called it out. He said they're trying to, make sure their cronies are in charge of installing rather than counting votes. And it's hideous. So, I think it was an acknowledgement of where we are. It was refreshing to me that he was just calling out what he sees, and he was still being respectful and diplomatic. But we do have a problem in America.
Yeah.
We have a problem with people who don't tell the truth, and some of them unto terrorism. I mean, we're watching a couple of children's hospitals in this country, at least semi-crippled by terrorists telling lies for the sake of telling them. And it's like,
right.
Wow. To hold that much hate for any group of people that you will lie about them. To hold, you will lie contemptuously and gather as many people around you as you can to disrupt cancer treatment for children, in Texas, to disrupt youth and family services and children, protective services for children, to disrupt that. And that's coming from the governor. So.
Right.
But that is your goal, is just chaos. To build what? To build my question to every activist that I've ever spoken to, I've talked to a lot of them one-on-one. And then what?
Yeah.
What next? What is your vision? What are you doing? What is it you're aiming at? What are you going for? Why are you doing what you're doing? And maybe, for some people, their goal is to blow it all up. They don't care what comes next. And maybe that is their only goal. I don't know. But, this president, I think, laid it out pretty succinctly.
Yeah.
He really did say a lot of the right things. He spoke plainly. They are a threat. It is a mess. And that's the thing. Fair fights used to be a thing.
Yeah.
It used to be a thing. There were rules. There were even alleged rules on the schoolyard. You didn't bring a knife to a fist fight.
Right.
You didn't hit below the belt.
Right.
There were rules. It's just decency. It was humanity. It was like coexisting with other humans. I was like, where did all these people come from who have absolutely no rules or good sense and don't stand for anything?
Right. Who raised y'all?
What is that old adage? If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall.
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything more true of that or a better example of that than the folks who are still on the MAGA train.
Right.
Yeah. Like, as if there wasn't enough evidence in the world that Donald Trump was a shyster and a grifter. As if we had all the evidence before he was ever elected. We did.
Decades worth.
But in case you didn't believe all that,
right,
the FBI didn't go into his home to screw with him. They went into his home as a matter of national security, because this unhinged, grievous individual is holding documents that could risk all of our lives.
Yep.
In his house.
Yeah.
That's not cool. And in my lifetime, I've never seen people willing to defend that. Out and out treason. Out and out, sedition. I mean, I don't know. What's the word? But that he's somehow being persecuted. And it reminds me of all the Christians who are like, if you don't let us install our religion in your public schools, we're being persecuted. We are victims. I've never seen so many people so hell-bent on calling themselves victims when they're the ones that are perpetrating chaos.
The ones victimizing.
Yeah, chaos. So I thought it was good. It belongs in good news. I mean, the American president arguably still one of the most powerful figures on our planet, stood up and said, you know, this is a country worth fighting for. We should be united in that cause. And, you know, we kind of have a common enemy in those who would pose an insurrection and those who are willing to lie.
Yeah.
And not accept the will of the people. Because that's what we all agree to. And you don't always win in that argument.
Nope.
You know, you hope to live to fight another day. At least that's what I thought adulthood was. But
that part.
Yeah. So it belongs in good news. I thought it was a good speech. I don't care what anyone says. You know, if you're criticizing him for being in front of Independence Hall with a couple of Marines, I guess you forgot when Bush put on a flight suit and, what was it? Mission accomplished from an aircraft carrier.
Right.
A war he never did end. But yeah, that.
Yeah. What mission? What accomplishment?
Yeah. Yeah. So I do. I hope we find our collective senses at some point while we still have something to find sense over, because I don't want to move again.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So we still have boxes that we haven't unpacked.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to.
And the places we want to move to keep
I know,
being on fire.
And they're on fire, and then they have gender crits, and it's like, oh, please, just, I'm so tired. Could we please just, common sense. Where's common sense? What happened to it?
I remember.
I liked it.
I
liked it. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, President Biden, for trying once again to be the voice of reason. And I hope that no matter what your political affiliation, you will also vote to save democracy and say, this has gone too far. We need to right the ship.
Right.
When when we have one political party coming after the rights of everyone, that needs to be put in check. And I would say that either way. I truly would.
Oh, yeah.
Fascism is fascism, and the folks who cannot recognize it and are fighting for it are baffle me.
Yeah.
But we'll keep chatting about it. What's next?
Well, first of all, I did not know that this is National Black Business Month, and Mattel is honoring Madam C.J. Walker with a new historical Barbie.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. Madam C.J. Walker is considered the nation's first self-made woman millionaire. She was a pioneer in the black beauty industry. She founded Madam Walker's Wonderful Hair Grower, and she became a respected trailblazer in the black hair care and cosmetics industry.
There was a great documentary about her.
It was a series.
Was it a series?
Yes.
And who played her? I can picture her. I can picture her walking with a pie, too. Wasn't it the same actress?
Octavia Spencer.
Yes. And it was really good.
It was.
That was really good. So it was entertaining and an interesting way to learn more about Madam C.J. Walker. But now she's got a Barbie.
She does.
I love it.
And it comes with its own little Madam Walker's Wonderful Hair Grower accessory.
Okay.
And I was reading this, and it comes from Because of Them We Can. And this was a very interesting little article. Her great-great-granddaughter, Alelia Bundles, has been, a staunch advocate for preserving Madam C.J. Walker's history. Mm-hmm. So she partnered with Walmart to launch a new affordable hair care line, Madam by Madam C.J. Walker, more than a century after the original product.
Love it.
It's and now we have this fabulous Barbie doll. How amazing is that?
I love it. For all the ugly stuff coming out of Florida, we're just seeing some amazing and wonderful dedicated teens.
Hallelujah.
And I love calling them out every time we see a story. Florida teens successfully ousted two anti-LGBTQ quote, lunatics
Right.
from a local school board. These lunatics included a woman who once asked the police to investigate school libraries for offering an LGBTQ-themed book.
Yeah.
Queer teens in Florida successfully helped to oust these two from a school board in a conservative county.
No mean feat, I'm sure.
Yeah. The teens, Alyssa Vidal, Cameron Driggers, and notable gay student activist Jack Pataz, I believe, organized a campaign called Recall Flagler County School Board to replace Jill Woolbright and Janet McDonald. Their seats on the board will soon go to others after Tuesday night's school board election. In the election, Sally Hunt beat Woolbright. Progressive candidate Courtney Vandebunt also won a majority of votes to replace Donald. Because she didn't win 50% of the vote in the three-way race, she will now face off against her Republican opponent in a November runoff.
I feel good about it.
Yeah. The performance was notable considering that county voters cast ballots for Donald Trump in 16 and 20 presidential elections by margins of 20% over his Democratic competitors. So this is kind of maybe it's also another little bellwether of what we're going to see happen in November.
I will take it.
The recall group reached out to tens of thousands of voters through campaigns on various social media platforms. They also partnered with the Florida Democratic Party to knock on nearly 5,000 doors.
Work.
We were up against thousands of dollars from conservative super PACs. Noting the political action committees also sent local mailers accusing Democratic candidates of being unsavory. Being unsavory is something Republicans know an awful lot about.
Well,
community members had criticized McDonald after she retweeted messages accusing public school educators of brainwashing children, calling activists useless people, implying that Black Lives Matter protesters should be shot, and spreading a message from an anti-Semitic Twitter account. What a winner.
Yeah.
Two of McDonald's retweeted messages stated, "It's easier to come out as gay than come out as a Trump supporter." And this thank you. This pandemic was a planned, politically motivated event to overthrow the government. The only people who tried to overthrow the government.
Say it.
Okay.
I just think of my father. When people don't have anything to say, they'll just say anything.
Yeah, do they always live in opposite land or just when we speak? Is that how it works? Like, because none of this even makes any sense.
No.
She also opposed recent student walkouts over the state's notorious Don't Say Gay law, also organized by Patos. I'm not saying their name right, but Patots. Petich? Maybe you're right. You might be right. Calling them very disappointing and referring to those who protested as immature adolescents. And this woman sat on the school board, yeah. In a June 2020 school board meeting, Petitz publicly called on McDonald to resign, stating despite what the member of the board may believe, it is not easier to come out as gay than to support Donald Trump.
You fucking moron. He didn't say that. I said that.
This is why LGBTQ plus youth have exceptionally high suicide rates.
Right.
He also added that activists are far from useless, having helped secure greater opportunities for women, people of color, and LGBTQ people. And he just handed her ass. Thank you. I love that.
Right.
I love that. You know, the article, it was in LGBTQ Nation. It goes on to talk about Woolbright, endorsed by DeSantis, who made national headline news in 2021, filing a police report against the school district's libraries for the crime of offering All Boys Aren't Blue.
Which is a fabulous book. I've read it.
Yeah, it is. You know what? Anyway, it's a great article. These people are crazy. These teens are the future.
Yeah.
They're the future. And they are confronting this nonsense head on, and they're winning.
Yeah, good on them.
I celebrate them. They're amazing.
I love it.
And, you know, keep it up. Keep it up.
Love to see it.
Yeah, I love where they're starting in the world, and, keep going. We need you. Keep going.
Indeed.
Yeah. Love that story. Moving on.
A federal court rules that a trans youth healthcare ban is a form of sex discrimination.
Right.
I thought this was a clever use of terminology.
Yeah, Arkansas cannot enact its law banning gender-affirming healthcare for trans youth. Good. They have said that they cannot enact Act 626, the law banning gender-affirming healthcare for trans youth, because the law relies on sex discrimination.
Yeah.
The 3-judge panel of the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a lower court ruling blocking the state from enforcing the law. The law, which was passed by the state legislature in April of 2021, prohibits medical providers from offering puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy, or surgeries to anyone below the age of 18, even though they don't perform surgeries on anyone under the age of 18. The law also prevents medical providers from referring trans youth to other providers who might offer such care.
Right.
Yeah, and then any medical provider who violated the law would be subject to possible discipline by professional regulatory bodies.
Insanity.
The law actually says, because the minor's sex at birth determines whether or not the minor can receive certain types of, I'm sorry, it doesn't say it in that tone, types of medical care under the law. No. Oh, wait, this came from the court. Anyway, it discriminates on the basis of sex, which of course it does. The lawsuit challenging the law was brought by the ACLU on behalf of 4 trans youth, their parents, and 2 Arkansas doctors.
Yep.
In a public statement celebrating the ruling, ACLU of Arkansas Executive Director Holly Dixon said today the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed that no child should be denied medical care they need.
Period.
Excellent.
Period.
Research shows denying gender-affirming care to transgender youth contributes to depression, isolation, eating disorder, self-harm, and suicide. Transgender people deserve the right to live healthy lives without fear and discrimination. It's time for the Arkansas legislature to protect trans kids, not target them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They went on to say the law furthers no important governmental interest, no shit, and that the state offered no legal or evidentiary support to show why the law should even exist, which is true of all of the anti-trans legislation across this country.
Yep.
It's true of all of it. It doesn't serve any purpose. It wasn't needed. It's some solution in search, desperate search of a non-existent problem. But you know what it does? It wears these kids down. It wears their families down. People are afraid. People are moving from the states where maybe they've spent their whole lives because they're terrified by these people doing this nonsense.
Right.
And they're doing it cynically for votes. Just like, you know what I love? And I'm putting this in good news too. A whole bunch of Republican candidates are now scrubbing their websites of all mention of abortion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were banging that drum. They were flexing their muscles about what they accomplished.
Right.
Going against Roe v. Wade until they saw that votes are going against them. So it's almost like this was never about their principles to begin with, because they have none.
That part.
This was about cynically getting votes. Saying, what do you think they want to hear, Cletus? I think the girls still want to hear it. We ain't going to let them have abortions. Well, then let's bang that drum till we're out of drumsticks. And so it goes. But now that there's actual backlash, they're like, oh, wait, whoever said that? We never said that. That wasn't us. That wasn't us at all.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We think maybe the Supreme Court went too far. I mean, watching them do these backflips. And I am not, I swear to you, I'm not trying to make fun of the citizens who actually believed, who actually believed that, this was a just cause. And some I'm sure still do.
Right.
They were never with you in this. They were drumming up a lot of who struck what nonsense.
Yep.
And now they're backing away because they've gone too far. And this was always about power and money. It was never about what the American people want. Because what the American people actually want is legal access to abortion.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they actually want. It's what they've wanted for a very long time. Just like they want, common sense gun control. They don't want to worry about their children being sitting ducks in a classroom.
It's not asking for much.
Yeah, it's really not. And just like there are a majority of Americans that do support queer rights and trans rights and gay marriage and, live and let live. Nothing bad has happened since 2015, except divorce lawyers are getting even richer because we don't know what we're doing either when it comes to marriage. Well. So whatever. But yeah. So I'm not trying to direct it so much at the folks who are probably feeling, what's the word? Duped?
Right.
Heavily duped right now. And if they're not, they should be.
Well.
But yeah, Republicans are changing their messages rapidly. So I guess thank God for the look back machine.
The look back machine.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Democratic candidates and their teams who have had enough and are actually hitting back. Hit back hard. Call out hypocrisy.
Get them.
Do it. Yeah. Do it. Because words don't mean anything anymore, and they need to.
Word.
Anyway. God bless the ACLU and everyone else, the Transgender Law Project, etc., who are playing whack-a-mole with these state legislatures. And this will subside if they are beaten back in November. It will. This insanity will calm down if they realize it's not getting them votes, it's losing them seats. That's what it takes, people.
That's all they care about.
That's what it takes. Yeah, and gas prices are going down rapidly, by the way.
Yep.
Thanks, Biden.
Right.
What else is up?
Byron Allen, media mogul Byron Allen.
Mm-hmm.
He's the founder of the Allen Media Group, a television group aimed at acquiring popular stations like the Weather Channel.
Okay.
His newest project is getting HBCU sports games put on broadcast television.
I love this.
Yeah, he already has a streaming platform, which I didn't even know about, called HBCU Go, which has been broadcasting historically black colleges and universities sports games on the app. It's available on Roku and Amazon Fire TV and Apple TV, all of those things. Well, now he's inking a deal with CBS.
Nice.
Nationwide major broadcast television for these HBCUs. That's awesome because, most of these colleges and universities exist through independent
funding.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But now they get some of that good money.
Good.
Like the NFL. I mean, not like the NFL,
yeah.
But, comparable.
Yeah. I'd like them all to get good education money, but, whatever.
Well, yeah.
Sports. It's all sports ball.
Well,
I can only get so excited, but I am excited about this.
Well, I'm assuming
but it's still
that
sports ball.
Unlike the NFL, the money generated will go into the schools. That's my guess.
Here's hoping.
Right.
We live in hope.
Well, you have to.
I found the cutest pair of shoes for my conference.
Speaking of holding out hope.
Well, I actually feel like we didn't have enough good news, so I thought I'd throw some more in there.
Okay. Okay.
I did. They're, they're black and they have a pointy toe, but they're flats, little sling back. They're
cute.
Adorable.
They are cute.
$25.
Yes.
I'm a good shopper. Yeah, because I haven't had a shoe that I knew that I could wear all day that also looked professional.
Right. They give me that I'm a woman on a mission with something to do, and I'm not here to take your shit, but that don't mean that I can't also be cute. Like, that's what the shoe says to me.
Nice. I didn't realize it was saying all that.
Yes.
I wanted it to say, we won't hurt you and you won't break an ankle.
Well, it says that too. Well, it says that to you. It says what I said to the people that's looking at me.
You will not die on these shoes.
Right.
And it's because Friday's going to be a marathon day. So I wanted something cute. So I found it. I'm sorry. I just wanted to stretch out good news because I really like staying in good news and I hate going into nonsense. So I just wanted to be there for a little bit longer.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah. And the wine is delicious today. It tastes especially good. I had a long day.
Yeah, you did.
A long day already. Yeah. And there's a fly in here.
I know.
There's a fly in here. We had the windows open for days. And I didn't get it. But there's a fly in the studio.
Right.
Which is also the dining room. Maybe there's still crumbs on the table from the other day. I don't know. It's over there by you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
I'm afraid to swat too hard and mess up.
Yeah, it flew away again. Anyway. So stretched out good news as far as I could this week, kids. Feel free to email us at askfullcirclepod@gmail.com.
Yes.
With your good news stories.
Yes.
Updates. If you know the folks we talk about and you'd like us to talk to them, we'd love to. Hook us up. But yeah, we combed the internets and that's what we got this week.
Right.
So, do you have a 15-minute fave to share with us to take us out to break?
I do.
Is this really a 15-minute fave? Or are you cheating and going back into the archives? Which is it?
It's a combination of all of that. Well, because see, I didn't have I haven't listened to music
new
much.
Stuff in a bit, right?
Yeah.
Well.
But we're in Virgo season now, and
are we?
We are.
I don't know.
Trust me.
I never know what any of that means.
But while we were still in Leo season, someone had posted on Facebook a happy birthday to Skin, who was the lead singer of one of my favorite bands, Skunk Anansi. And so
Skin,
yes,
of Skunk Anansi.
Yes,
continue.
They are a UK band, and they're very like rah rah, like alternative, and like she's a beautiful bald-headed black woman who like sings about get out of my face with your racist nonsense.
Is that Skin?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. She's fierce. And so I started, I realized it had been a few years since I listened to Skunk Anansi, and I started listening to my favorite albums and fell in love all over again. And so this week's 15-minute fave is Skank Heads by Skunk Anansi. It's got that tone that is perfect for the mood that I'm in right now, with people telling lies and people being duplicitous, and basically the song is saying get off me with that nonsense.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds very appropriate.
Yes.
At the moment.
Yes.
And vote in November.
Yes.
Please.
So we're going to go out to the break with the Skank Heads by Skunk Anansi.
We'll be right back. Charles, you are the wind beneath my wings.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Oh, thank you. I am not the technical one here.
I know.
I freely admit that. We come up with these ideas and you make them happen. Like, how did this come about?
Believe it or not, it's all because of Anchor. Anchor has the tools. It lets me record, edit, and distribute right from the computer. Sometimes I do it from my phone. It's just as easy either way.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're on like dozens of platforms, though.
It's true. Anchor makes it easy to distribute our podcast on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and dozens more. It's everything we need, and it's all in one place. And you'll love this part. It's all completely free.
Oh, thank God.
Right. I use Anchor for pretty much every aspect of getting our show out there and into the listeners' ears.
That's amazing.
It is. And if you, dear listeners, want to get into the podcasting game, you just need to download the Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Maybe Anchor's the wind beneath my wings.
Hey!
And we're back.
We're back.
I love that. That was a UK artist.
Right.
As many of you know, we are broadcast on Medway Pride Radio. Hey, Medway.
Hey, Medway Pride.
And our friends are going through something right now. They really are. You wanna? Shall I lead us off?
Yeah, please.
So the UK's first national trans memorial has been irreparably damaged after a fire that happened during Manchester Pride. You want to talk about it?
So yeah, it was the memorial was carved out of a sycamore tree in Manchester, Sackville Gardens, and at some point during Manchester Pride, it went up in flames.
Right.
And no one seems to know how it happened or when it happened.
There seems to be speculation that it was like a discarded cigarette or something.
Right.
No one knows for sure. But it's now unsound.
Right.
It really can't be preserved, especially outdoors.
Right.
Right. So there is a GoFundMe.
Yes.
Involved in this story. Sparkle is the charity that is involved and I believe maintained the memorial. You know, it sounds like they tried to meet with Manchester Pride, and Manchester Pride, while I guess expressing some sympathy, is not accepting any responsibility for what has happened. You know, it's secured with metal barriers now, but clearly it was not when there was a large crowd gathered.
And part of the issue is that it appears that Manchester Pride failed to take the necessary steps to protect the memorial during Pride.
Right.
You know, and it's crazy because as that memorial has been there for the better part of a decade.
Yeah, about 9 years.
And, you know, there should have been additional security for it considering the event and, you know.
I would have thought, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know the specifics of that. I know that, you know, it just, it's a really sad thing. There is a GoFundMe, and we will provide the link to that in the notes to this episode, and we'll share it across our social media. During the recent Pride in Manchester, the memorial in Sackville Gardens was severely damaged by fire and will need to be replaced by something more robust. When the memorial was installed in 2013, it was known that it would not last forever, but over the years it has been the victim of various attacks and the weather. The fund would go to safely removing the existing memorial and preserving it as best as possible in a secure location.
Right.
To remove the existing plaques for the new structure. You know, there are plaques, and this memorial figured prominently in Trans Day of Remembrance. So, you know, they want to take those existing plaques and incorporate them into whatever happens that's new. The process of design and cost of a new memorial to be chosen by the community will take place. Any monies remaining will be used for upkeep.
Yes.
So right now it's looked after by the charity Sparkle.
Yes.
And all funds will go to them for security and transparency. So they have a goal of £7,000 to date. They've raised $1,750. Yeah, it's sad. It was a beautiful carving.
Yeah. The chair of Sparkle, Vicky Mulligan, said, "Even though I share everyone's anger and distress at the ignorance and indifference shown towards a powerful symbol of my community's struggle, I am also determined to highlight the negligence which has resulted in the memorial's costly dismantling and replacement. The charity will be working closely with Manchester City Council to establish accountability for the damage and in preserving the legacy and impact of the memorial."
Right. Right. So, here's hoping for a beautiful and brilliant outcome to this situation.
We're going to put the GoFundMe not only in the notes for this episode, but also we're going to put it on our link tree.
Right. So everywhere we are, we will put this story. If you can spare even a few dollars to rebuild this important structure, please do.
Yes.
What else is in this cavalcade of nonsense?
Oh, yeah. This is the cavalcade of nonsense.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's time for the cavalcade of nonsense.
Thank you. You know how I get.
So this one is boiling my blood. It really is. 4chan, why does that still exist? Trolls target Trevor Project suicide hotline in hopes LGBTQ kids will die. They flooded the nonprofit's crisis hotline with fake requests for help. This story was first published on August 31st.
Yeah. I've decided that 4chan is not even the armpit of the internet. It is the ingrown hair in the armpit of the internet.
Yeah.
These fucking people.
So did we put it on this cavalcade? Let me just look real quick. Did we put the fact that no, we didn't. So I'm going to mention it now. Kiwi Farm.
Oh yeah.
Which is, apparently is just another troll breeding ground for really terrible people who target other people.
4chan cast-offs.
Yeah. They were shut down effectively in a couple of different directions. So it's unlikely that they will ever again exist with the force that they have. And good. Because this is what these folks do.
Yeah. There are screenshots in 4chan where they're talking about planning to do this to the Trevor Project. And
fake requests for help.
Yeah.
Bog down the crisis hotline.
Yeah.
And online chats. The goal, this is in a quote, in a post on their politically incorrect image board.
Yeah.
The goal was to fuck up the queue so sodomites and fags commit suicide.
Yeah.
To demoralize the therapists and waste as much of their resources as possible.
Yeah.
This is who these people are, and this is how they choose to spend their precious time on Earth.
Right.
Seething with hatred.
Yeah, these are shitty ass people.
The original thread appears to have been deleted, but it's unclear whether it was removed by 4chan or the original poster. A second thread has been archived and was still visible on the site as of Tuesday evening.
I'm looking at the screenshots right now.
Alex Kaplan, a senior researcher at media watchdog Media Matters for America, posted screenshots of the original post.
Yep.
And responses from trolls sharing screenshots of their chats with Trevor Project counselors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And underneath their little tactics, like Well, because it says tactics. Go on the chat, phone or type lines and say you're going to commit suicide or being bullied, etc. Some funny ones are quote unquote suiciding directly when you're on the line or being as sick as possible, in parentheses, black, Jewish, trans women, etc. Like, they're fucking disgusting. And then underneath that it said, as always, number one rule is have fun. And then they say the N-word for no reason.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Ew. I'm just picturing like a toddler wallowing in its own shit. Like, that's basically 4chan.
Folks from the Trevor Project said, alarmingly, our research has found that every 45 seconds, an LGBTQ young person attempts suicide. Every second counts when you work in suicide prevention, and we strongly condemn this intent to obstruct our lines and create even more barriers for LGBTQ people who rely on our help. We're working diligently in the face of this disruption to protect our counselors and those youth who need us. They became a target of far-right trolls earlier this year when Libs of TikTok, that woman, called them a grooming organization in a tweet she later deleted. I don't know why she deleted it, since, whatever. Folks like Moms for Liberty and Lauren Chen followed suit, equating the outreach of the Trevor Project to giving abusers access to children. I don't have enough contempt for these people. I truly don't.
Right.
I truly don't. All you have to do is mind your own business, live your own life, and leave us alone. You don't have to love us. I don't expect you to love us. I don't care what you think of us. Leave us alone.
Right.
Leave us alone to care for our own. That should be basic human decency.
Yeah. Well, the only thing they have is basic. They're not behaving as humans, and they have no decency.
Yeah, well, this is less than basic. This is evil. It's evil.
Yeah.
Pure evil. It's unsurprising, sadly, but it's just pure evil. And, yeah. How sad is your life that this is how you choose to spend your time? And you take joy in it. How sad is your existence?
And that's the thing. 4chan has always been that dark place on the web that you don't go because there's nothing redeemable about 4chan. None of it. But this is the first time that, at least that I can think of, where it's affecting my actual world. You know what I mean?
Right. When they come at us, we're always going to respond. We are never going to waste our time talking about the individual people involved, because that's what they want.
Right.
But, wow.
They're disgusting human beings.
Yeah, just when you think they can't make life any harder for a really vulnerable group, And the only thing I have to say to any of the kids that might be listening, that might even consider not calling in because of this, the resource is there for you, and you are stronger than you know.
Yes.
You are bigger than these people will ever be.
Much.
You are made of greater things than those who come against you. And it's that I hope that you will know and carry forward always, that, you certainly did not invite the folks who will come against you in this life and this world. None of us did. And many of us, have some really tragic stories to tell about folks who just didn't understand us and didn't want to. And sadly, that is being kicked up right now and bantered about. It's why, I talk to queer adults all the time, and I say, we bear a responsibility toward you. We told you it was safe. We told you we should talk about who we are. And the more of that happens, the uglier all of this gets. And I do believe it will subside. I do believe a lot of you are coming up with creative solutions some of us never even thought of, and certainly learning from the ones who have. But again, my best advice always is keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going. Because you're made of better, more beautiful, and stronger stuff than these people could ever imagine.
And that's all it is. Your light shines so bright that they're cowering from it. That's really all of this is.
Yeah. Let's just keep going.
Yep.
So Republicans are getting what they asked for with abortion, and they are regretting it.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, they're beginning to scrub their campaign sites.
Right.
Yeah, the SCOTUS decision to end federal abortion protection, secured by Roe v. Wade, continues to confuse Republicans who finally got what they wished for.
Yeah.
I used to say, I'm just going to admit this, I used to say they're never actually going to overturn Roe. They're going to keep pretending they want to, because God knows they have abortions whenever they want them, whenever they need them. Their girlfriends are getting abortions left, right, and sideways. The girlfriends of their sons, their wives, their daughters. Your true stance on abortion always depends on just who comes home pregnant and by whom.
Yep.
And that's always been true. So the hypocrisy of the entire movement has always stunned me. But I really never thought that it would go this far. But when you install ideologues on the Supreme Court who are there to do that job, who lied under oath, by the way, in their confirmation hearings, that they wouldn't do exactly what they turned around and did. They lied. Yeah. These people are liars, serving on our Supreme Court now.
That part.
I never thought it would happen. It did happen. I wondered if it would finally wake up more of the population. It feels like it is.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. They're trying to wriggle their way out of this trap that they set for themselves. They were insisting it wasn't going to make a difference in the election. And it should just be ignored. And that is failing. Failed in the face of the huge victory for abortion rights in Kansas, the upset by Pat Ryan, a Democrat, in a New York special election, a massive uptick and shift in voter registrations driven by abortion rights, and rafts of political polls.
Yeah.
And we're seeing them scrub their websites of abortion policy, trying to tone down the part where they say they are 100% pro-life, that they support a federal personhood law, ideally a constitutional amendment that recognizes unborn, quote, babies as human beings that must not be killed. As if these statements haven't already been copied and recorded for posterity. They're out there. May the Democrats use them to their advantage, because it was always a tactic that they were using, that they never believed and never really stood behind, just because they cynically, drove this bus until the wheels fell off and the axles ground to dust,
right,
doesn't mean they're not still responsible for it. This is what they wrought. This is the Supreme Court they brought us. This is the nonsense they brought about.
Yeah.
And they can't change it by backing away from it now. This is what they, quote unquote, stood for, because they stand for nothing.
Right.
They're people who don't believe in government, who keep running for government positions so that they can obtain power and money. Period.
Yeah.
Period. They are not patriots. They don't care about their country. They don't care about you. And they never did.
Yeah.
And by the way, they never cared about abortion either.
Right.
Anyway, so a Christian teacher who misgendered a trans student won $95,000 in compensation.
The fuck?
Yeah, this nonsense happened in Kansas. Pamela Ricard sued the Geary County School District for a First Amendment violation after she was suspended for 3 days in April of 2021. Ricard, 58, worked at Fort Riley Middle School in Kansas before retiring in May of this year. She was reprimanded after she referred to a student as Miss to avoid using his preferred first name after Picard was told the student used he and him pronouns.
Yeah.
She argued the punishment of 3 days suspension infringed on her rights of religious freedom.
Fuck you.
I want to know, since when is there religious freedom in public school? We have freedom from religion in public school. That's what I thought.
That was supposed to be the whole point.
You don't get to practice any religion when your job is to teach children, not to inflict your personal, private religious beliefs on others.
Right. That was supposed to be the whole point.
If you don't like the fact that trans people exist and you don't want to get with the program of what we know saves their lives, of what we know is best for their mental health, and frankly, the mental health of all the kids around them, who are paying attention, who are watching, who are also learning how to be more decent human beings. If you're not up for that, you should have retired before it happened.
Yeah.
The school is reported to have conducted diversity and equity training. Thank you. And recommended staff to refer to students by their chosen names and pronouns, which is the accurate thing to do.
Right.
Court records also showed Ricard has been directed not to out the student to his parents, but Ricard, who is described as a devout Christian, I couldn't care less.
Nope.
Apparently felt such requirements violated her beliefs. What?
What and so?
If she didn't believe in sunshine, would we pull all the shades?
Right.
Like, what the hell? Anyway, Ms. Ricard is a Christian and holds sincere religious beliefs consistent with the traditional Christian and biblical understanding of the human person and biological sex. Her complaint read. She went on to argue that being compelled to refer to students by their chosen names or pronouns, when asked to, was a violation of her religious freedoms.
Fuck her.
Where does this end? If she decides somebody needs an exorcism in the middle of her classroom and that her sincerely held religious beliefs dictate that, does she get to hold down the Jews? Does she get to hold down the Muslims and pray for them? Does she get to call the other teachers into the room? Like, where does this slope slide to?
That part.
The case was settled earlier this week. According to Mail Online, the settlement agreed the school would issue a statement saying Ricard had been in good standing and was without disciplinary action against her. She was aided in her suit by the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is such a joke.
Yeah.
The Christian legal group, which was officially designated an anti-LGBT plus hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center in 2017. Of course she was. Of course she was. According to SPLC's profile, the ADF and its members have regularly demonized LGBT people, falsely linking them to pedophilia, calling them evil, and a threat to children and society, blaming them for the persecution of devout Christians. Lies, lies, and more lies. Nobody's persecuting Christians.
Nope.
Keep your shit away from me. How about that?
Right. You want to talk about persecution?
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about people who are shoving their bullshit down other people's throats, which is an analogy they love, by the way. I mean, talking about that,
irony.
like, excuse me, you got a 3-day suspension right before your retirement, and what? So we just padded her retirement fund
by damn near $100,000.
By damn near $100,000 for being a bigot.
Right.
She got paid for being a bigot. Yep, that happened. That happened. I hope somebody is appealing that, and I hope she never sees the money. I hope she dies first.
Right.
Anyway, you know, this is so sad, and we should put it in the column of entirely predictable.
Yeah.
Entirely predictable.
Greg Abbott and his anti-trans order has helped destroy Texas's child abuse agency.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the order forces child abuse agencies, workers, to investigate the parents of transgender children. And the workers are now speaking out about the unethical secrecy, internal strife, and staff resignations that are caused by his order, and how it's interfered with the department's ability to help victims of actual abuse.
Right. Well, he started this nonsense in February.
Yeah.
And very soon after the order was issued, several DFPS employees quit.
Yeah.
And there were state's attorneys in Texas who refused to enforce this.
Yep.
Several families with trans children also filed a lawsuit against Abbott. The presiding district judge in the lawsuit issued a temporary restraining order, effectively stopping the investigations while the court prepares to consider the order's legality in December, right? The thing is, as this order is insane.
Thoroughly.
You know, it's a radical departure from the legal definition of abuse by every sane measure out there. It's ludicrous. And this agency that is supposed to work in the best interest of children is essentially being told, no, that's not what we want you to do. Employees were told they had to investigate any trans-related cases, whether they thought there was reason to or not. They were also instructed not to comment on the order on social media in order to appear neutral.
Right.
They were told they had to stay off social media with any opinions. He issued the order without following the requirements for creating new departmental rules. We know that. Employees were instructed not to discuss cases in emails, texts, messages, or any other form of writing that could provide a record of the investigation or be pulled by media if requested.
Right.
Do you know how chilling that is?
Thank you.
To take a state agency charged with protecting children and install this unprecedented level of secrecy. Folks, if you don't recognize this as fascism, seriously.
It's one of the key elements.
Yeah. Yeah. So much of it, it's illegal on its face to begin with. The reason, the attorney general said this non-binding shit that the governor picked up and tried to run with is because the legislature has been, thwarted at every turn in court. All the stuff that they've tried to pass in Texas has been stopped.
Right. Legally.
Legislation wasn't working. And then they did this. Made Beto O'Rourke win. He is running for governor, isn't he? Again?
I believe so, yeah.
Against Abbott this year in November. Hey, Texans.
Right.
Please try to get it right. You haven't gotten it right since Ann Richards, if memory serves.
We have a lot.
In the name of Molly Ivins, please, dear God.
Right.
Do better than this.
We have a lot of listeners in Texas, too.
Yeah. Nearly 2,300 DFPS employees have left the department this year alone, including the ones, I'm sure some is attrition, who have departed over the disagreement with Abbott's order. The departures have included a trans investigator of child abuse, as well as other passionate workers who carry decades of experience and knowledge. According to the Houston Chronicle, these resignations have made it hard for DFPS to perform basic functions. They already had a high turnover rate with employees quitting over safety concerns, lack of communication, low pay, problems with their bosses. Many employees are required to oversee unhoused foster children, despite having no training to do so. Others are assigned too many cases and pressured to close them before they're properly investigated. Shelby McCowan, a former DFPS child abuse investigator, said Abbott's order was the last straw for many employees.
Oh, yeah.
There are a ton of social workers who do already identify with the LGBTQ community, me being one myself. it kind of feels like we're turning on family members at this point.
Yeah.
Child abuse in Texas is getting harder to investigate, thanks to Abbott. In the amicus brief, DFPS workers condemned Abbott's order, saying, "We did not enter the child protection profession to remove children from loving homes with parents or guardians merely because they follow medical advice and a doctor's care, only to place those kids in a foster care system that is riddled with actual abuse, sexual assault, and even sex trafficking." But according to the governor of Texas, they're better off there.
Right.
The public statements of the governor's staff have made it clear that the February 22nd directive was not motivated by any concern for the welfare of Texas's vulnerable children, but by the desire to create a political wedge issue for electoral purposes.
Yeah.
According to the brief, and I agree wholeheartedly. This was yet another cynical attempt to screw with trans people, screw with trans children and their loving families who are just trying to do best by their kids.
That's all.
Yeah. It's an agency that is already failing children. The department cannot withstand the division, attrition, and harm to children and families wrought by Abbott's order. Every Texan who actually gives a shit about kids, who actually does care
Right.
about all the kids that are already in foster care or unhoused or otherwise suffering, should be appalled.
At least.
By this misdirection of resources just to screw with someone Governor Abbott has identified as a political opponent. And I promise you, Governor, none of these parents were your political opponent. They were loving parents trying to care for their children in the best way possible.
That's all.
They probably are your political opponents now, if they even still live in Texas.
That part.
God, I hope he loses.
Me too.
Yeah, in the name of Molly Ivins, Texans, please, please change course here. Because, too many kids are suffering needlessly because of what your governor deems as a priority.
Nothing good lies on this current path.
No kidding. No kidding. What an ass. All right.
On that note, I think it's time for another break.
Let's take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll try to talk about pop culture and cleanse our palates and shake off the nonsense of the day. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday. Or maybe it isn't, but Tuesday is about to be your favorite day of the week.
You bet. She's Jenny.
And she's Caitlin. We're teachers, we're moms, we're friends, and we're funny.
I mean, I certainly think we are.
We're here to teach you what we had to learn and maybe save you some of the embarrassment.
Absolutely. We discuss all topics from the serious to the silly. Things like how to improve your resume and cover letter, advocating for yourself when talking to your doctor, what to expect when you're getting Botox, or how to wash your face at night.
And we can help you participate in that water cooler chat about sports and world events. And if you're feeling like your life is a mess, don't worry. We can relate.
Yeah, we're not afraid to tell you all the mortifying and hilarious things about our own lives, professionally or personally.
We're shameless. We're rated G. We're slightly crazy. Come hang with us.
It's the CK and GK podcast. New episodes drop every Tuesday, everywhere you listen. Have you laughed today?
And we're back.
We're back.
I'm cleansing my palate with Sauvignon Blanc. And pop culture.
It always works.
God. Well, works pretty well.
Right. So the Creative Arts Emmy Awards was this past weekend.
What's that about?
Well, the Creative Emmys are, hair and makeup and cinematography and sound and
all the behind the scenes to television.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. And it's also like the animated shows and the reality shows. Those are all awarded in the Creative Emmys.
Okay.
And there were some interesting winners.
Okay.
Like, I've never heard of this animated series Arcane until the past couple weeks. Everyone was saying how amazing it is. Well,
Okay.
apparently they're not the only ones, because they won the Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program. They beat Bob's Burgers, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, and What If. I'm like, okay, well,
Wow.
damn. Let's see. Chadwick Boseman won a posthumous Emmy for his role as T'Challa in What If, which was interesting. I figured that would happen because it was like, I think literally the last thing he did before he died.
Okay. So I'm looking at the one. Okay, these are the winners.
Yes.
All right. Because I'm looking at some of the nominees.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Lasso is something I don't see myself watching.
I keep saying one day we're going to watch it, but
The White Lotus, did we watch that?
Yes.
Did we like it?
No.
Okay. I don't remember.
The dude took a shit on the suitcase. Does that drive
No,
anything
I think
home?
I blocked that out.
I wish I did.
I don't remember
The horribly entitled white family, they're on vacation. The kid, all he does is lay on the beach and jerk off.
I sort of remember this. Not fondly.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
Oh, the White Lotus was like a hotel or something, right? Or a
Yes.
resort or whatever. Okay,
Yes.
it's sort of coming back to me. And wasn't what's her name in it? Who I normally like? Jennifer
Coolidge. We didn't even like her.
And I didn't even like her character. I was like, that felt like a waste of time. But it also scored 20 nominations along with Ted Lasso.
Right.
Succession had 25 nominations. It's well done. I watched it. I like it, even though I hate everyone. There's no redeemable character in that whole mess.
Right.
Everybody's human and flawed and wealthy, and it's
Mm-hmm.
but not bad. Hacks I love, they got 17. Only Murders in the Building, which I could not grow fond of.
I liked it, but then once we started doing the podcast, I started liking it even more.
Maybe I said I would give it another try.
I think you should.
Anyway, back to Arcane beat out some cool people. Maybe that's a thing we should try to check out.
Yeah. RuPaul won Outstanding Host for a Reality or Competition Program again.
Mm-hmm.
Again. I mean, I knew that was going to happen. That's always going to happen, I feel like.
I'm looking at some of these and I don't care.
Stanley Tucci's Searching for Italy won for
I liked
Outstanding
that.
Hosted Nonfiction Series of Special.
Yeah, that was, I liked that. I enjoyed it.
I started learning Italian because of that.
I that's the one country, yeah. I really want to go to Italy. I mean, there's a lot of countries I want to go to. Italy is so lifetimes ago, I drove a limousine, and it was mostly corporate clients, and we had a CEO that had a home in this area, but he traveled the world pretty extensively, and he was an older man, and he was really interesting, and we were talking about the world and traveling, and I said, if I only ever get to one country, just one, outside of the United States, what should it be? And he said, Italy.
Yeah.
You should see it. You should absorb it. You should soak it in. It's just such a beautiful country, and you can eat your way through it, and the food is wonderful. And it didn't take him a second to think. And he had homes all over the world, but he was like, yeah, Italy, go to Italy. So, I've always remembered that.
Right.
From someone who had been everywhere.
I used to think that for me it was going to be France.
I want to go there too.
I want to go to France. I want to go to Paris.
Now I desperately want to go to the UK because I want to hang out with our friends from Medway Pride Radio.
Hey, Medway Pride. But yeah, Italy is definitely.
I have a
moved
renewed
up.
desire to see the UK.
Yeah, I want to check out the UK. I've always wanted to see. Yeah,
But yeah, and we have it's interesting to me that our largest listener base in Italy is in Tuscany.
right.
And when my daughter went, she had a class trip to Italy and she loved all of it. But, you know, Florence and Tuscany, that was her favorite part of it. And she said, that's where you need to go. And so I love that. We have listeners there. Hopefully one day we'll get there and meet you in person.
I would be happy to.
Wouldn't that be fun?
You know what I found amusing? Going back to the Emmys. So there was a tie, apparently, for outstanding makeup for a variety, nonfiction, or reality program. Guess which two shows won? Legendary and We're Here.
Huh.
Outstanding makeup. Yeah, that sounds right, actually.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, the Super Bowl halftime show with Dr. Dre and Snoop and Mary J. Blige and Eminem and Kendrick Lamar and 50 Cent. It won for outstanding music direction.
Okay.
Which makes perfect sense. Outstanding narrator. Barack Obama for our great national parks.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So these are a lot of these are interesting.
Yep. Drag Race won for outstanding production design for a variety, reality, or competition series.
These are just all the awards you never hear about.
Right. Adele's One Night Only won for a lot.
I saw that.
And, you know, I remember enjoying that a lot.
Okay. Outstanding short form comedy, short form nonfiction or reality. Yeah, these are some.
Oh, here's one that I am not surprised by at all. Outstanding writing for a variety series. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. That makes perfect and complete sense.
Yeah.
And then we get to some of the talent.
I miss reality or variety shows.
Right.
Like Sonny and Cher.
Yeah.
And the Carol Burnett show. I loved that.
Right.
I did.
So, outstanding choreography for scripted programming. Euphoria won.
Choreography.
I'm guessing it was from that play.
Oh, maybe.
Because
Maybe.
yeah. Yeah.
Euphoria traumatized one of our friends deeply.
Right.
She was like, oh my God, people, this is horrible. I'm like, yeah, no.
Atlanta won for outstanding cinematography for a single camera series, half hour.
Did you see outstanding casting for a comedy series? Abbott Elementary.
Yeah.
How about that?
Makes sense. Oh, here's an interesting one. Outstanding contemporary costumes. Hacks.
Okay.
Hacks was nominated for a bunch of
Yeah, they were.
guest actor awards. Like Laurie Metcalf won for outstanding guest actress in a comedy series. And
That's fair.
Jane Addams, Harriet Sansom Harris, and Caitlin Olsen from Hacks were also nominated in the same category. So it was like, okay, they're going to win something.
Right.
So yeah, there were some really cool awards. Outstanding music supervision, Stranger Things. Yeah, they brought back the 80s and revived Kate Bush's discography.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so these are the awards you don't always hear about.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Bye-bye iPad. It died.
Okay, then. Moving on. Moving on. I did notice that outstanding original music and lyrics went to Schmigadoon for Corn Puddin'.
Yeah. You know Kathy knows about that.
Oh my God, yeah. So funny.
I had never heard of corn pudding before Schmigadoon.
And now you have.
Now I've eaten it. And I actually like it.
See, there you go.
Who knew?
Yeah, there you go. What else? What else is in pop culture?
Oh, yeah. So I mentioned on Patreon how I've been enjoying She-Hulk. And this past episode was a lot of fun, but fanboys are still losing their damned minds because, you know, the show centers around a woman.
Okay.
And skewers misogyny and, you know, the whole boys
they hate
club.
that.
Oh yeah, they totally do.
Hate that.
And now their whole thing is like, why can't why is this Marvel series so like silly and why can't it be serious? Because, well, show me that you've never read She-Hulk without telling me. Like,
right.
The whole thing.
Oh, sorry. I'm not yawning at you.
The whole thing with She-Hulk is it is more of a comedic series.
Okay.
You know, in the comic books as well. But this particular most recent episode, there was an Asgardian light elf who could mimic anyone.
An Asgardian?
Asgardian. That is the people that Thor came from.
Oh.
Yes. Asgard is where Thor comes from.
Well, pardon me.
Yeah. But yeah, she could turn herself into anybody. And so Jennifer Walters had to go to court to defend this dude that she hated.
Right.
Because his whole thing is he's suing the light elf because she impersonated Megan the Stallion and thought he was dating Megan the Stallion.
Oh.
And so the whole thing was like she had to prove that he was basically dumb enough to think that Megan the Stallion would ever want to be with him.
Oh.
In court.
Okay.
And so guess who had a cameo in the episode?
I'm guessing Megan the Stallion.
Correct. And the thing that just drove everyone crazy was there's a cute little post-credit scene where Megan is signing on to be a client of Jennifer Walters and her law firm. And so they're dancing in her office, and there's a scene where like She-Hulk and Megan the Stallion are twerking.
Right.
So, of course, everyone is just upset because how dare we do something so like fluffy and asinine in a Marvel property.
What?
Let's see. I believe
They've realized none of it is a documentary, right?
A. B. Let's see. In Iron Man, I forget if it was 2 or 3, there's a scene where Tony Stark pisses inside the Iron Man suit as a joke. Let's see. We saw the Hulk's bare ass in Thor Ragnarok. Spider-Man does a dance.
Yeah, but it's funny when men do it.
Star-Lord. Right, exactly. But the downfall of society is She-Hulk twerking with Megan the Stallion.
Right.
I hate fanboys. They make me itch. Can't we just like shit and keep it pushing?
Or not like it and keep it pushing.
Or not like it and keep it pushing.
I'm fine with that too.
You know, but
I don't like more things than I like.
I know.
And yet we keep it pushing. Like
Right.
I don't stop to not make dinner, right?
Right.
You eat.
How dare you like things I don't like?
I don't
Starve, bitch. Yeah, that never happened.
Yeah, what the hell were you two watching the other night?
Oh.
The stoners in my house
we were watching
took over my living room.
We were rewatching Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon from 1985.
That was it. The
Yes.
Last Dragon. I did the dishes, set up the coffee, and went to bed.
Yeah.
I was like, that
movie. That movie is so fucking 80s.
But see, I decided to do something else with my time.
Right.
I just bring it up as an example that, you know.
That movie is so much fun.
Okay.
It's by no means a good movie,
It's stupid.
but I do love
It's
it.
stupid.
My love of
And I don't like stupid.
my love for it has
That's
nothing
just
to do
my
with
problem.
it being good.
Especially as I look out on the American landscape these days. Stupid doesn't entertain me. It scares the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like,
Well, I figured you would have enjoyed Last Dragon just because
I mean, the
of
boy was cute.
Thank you.
He was cute.
The screen time of Ty Mac with his shirt off, I figured would be
Yeah, that
enough
was
for you.
fine.
Yeah.
It was all right. I mean, he's young
That's the reason why.
in this. But he's young.
Yeah, but I looked him up to see him recently.
Like how-
he's still pretty.
Okay, but how young was he at that point? He looked very young. Like you
Maybe
know.
he was like 20.
barely
I'm not
hatched.
sure.
Exactly. And I'm like, I hate the 20s. Not as like I'm like, oh.
Well, see, you weren't there for you weren't like a fan of it when it came out. So like
I was not.
He was always the.
And it was the mid 80s.
Yeah.
Like I had a driver's license, so I wasn't home. I mean, I went to see movies, but I went to see The Color Purple. You know what I mean? Like I went. I know we've gone over this. Like we have different. Yeah. But 80s, I didn't smoke marijuana then either. Right. So there's a reason you were entertained by different things, even though you were only 10 at the time. So let's be real.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, you didn't see it when it was in the movies.
I saw it on video.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we didn't have video when I was 10. We had a TV guide. You got there or you didn't.
Right.
And you had, what was it, 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go get your stuff together.
Not even.
Commercials. No, well, yeah.
Commercial breaks used to be quick.
Not that quick. They were a couple minutes, I think.
I'll never forget. I think it was
long enough to pee or
it was
grab a drink.
It was it was after the finale episode of the Lisa Bonet show.
Right.
And they had that special retrospective show following it. And I swear to God, the commercial breaks were so damn long. They had to come in and remind you that you were watching the show so you could remember why you'd been sitting there for 5 minutes watching commercial.
Right. I was always happy for y'all that you had Rewind.
Yeah.
And, I learned it quickly and appreciated it. But, yeah, we didn't have that. There was no Rewind. There were no videotapes. You had the movies.
Right.
Or you had, 6 channels.
Yeah.
Maybe 7.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was that.
I was in like the 6th grade or so when we got a VCR. And it changed my life. I'm like, oh, let's record this while we're watching it. And then we can watch it later.
I think you were probably in the 6th grade when I got a VCR too. But, yeah. I was also old enough to drink. So it is what it is. But, I'm just saying. We experienced media differently.
We did.
But you weren't even, whatever. You all watched it. My point was I didn't blow up anything.
No.
I didn't get big mad. I just did other shit.
Right.
Well, it was on. Like,
You didn't scream that it was part of the woke agenda because it was all black people.
I did not. It didn't. My living room was all black people once I got up.
It's true,
and
actually.
I was fine with that. It was okay.
Facts.
Life goes on.
Right.
It's just fine. Life will be fine. Everything is good. I was just like, but y'all are like kind of high and stupid. And I wasn't. So I was like, I'll just go do dishes. It's fine.
Well,
it's all fine. You were relaxing and enjoying it. I can allow for people in my life to enjoy things I don't enjoy. It's okay. I survive. There's room for us all.
Right.
We can all be entertained.
Right. Especially now that there's so many things to watch and so many different avenues to watch them. It's like, can we calm the hell down?
So I wonder, you keep getting a request to go on another podcast and talk about She-Hulk. And I know you're going to be the one defender on that. You going to do it? Have you decided? I think you should.
I probably will, yeah.
You may never go on again, but I think you should.
We'll see.
But you know it's you against them, probably going in.
We'll see.
They're going to be like, so why do you like this crap?
Well.
Right.
Like one of my favorite parts of the most recent episode of She-Hulk is like Jennifer Walters, when she's not the Hulk, she's a little bitty woman.
Mm-hmm.
And like these guys came up behind her and like grabbed her and like she starts screaming and then she went, oh wait. And then she like turned into the Hulk and said, get off me.
Right.
That kind of shit. I love that.
Yeah.
And she did the thing that I always joke about. She beat a motherfucker with another motherfucker. I never thought I'd actually see that.
See, I love that. I've wanted to do that so many times in my life. Just pick another human up by the heels and beat another human with them. Like that. I felt that when you said it. Because I've been there.
Right?
Like, ooh, it's a good thing for y'all. I am nonviolent.
Thank you.
I'm probably big enough to do it.
Right?
But I don't.
I always think of the movie Hancock. Like, your head is going to go up his ass.
Right. Yeah.
And then it did.
And then it did. Right. Well, probably not really.
Wow.
But yeah. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
The Fringe Festival is here or coming.
I know. Speaking of interviews, and things, we won't talk about what interview yet, but you did an interview today about the upcoming Fringe Festival in Philadelphia,
and my picks
and your picks for the Fringe Festival. So, what is the Fringe Festival?
The Fringe Festival
in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia is an annual arts festival. It's this year it is pretty much the entirety of September, and pretty much every genre of performing arts, actually not even just performing arts, every genre of the arts
right,
is having performances and exhibitions all over the city.
Right.
And both in traditional spaces and non-traditional spaces. Like the examples I always use are like, you know, when I saw like a fashion show in a hair salon or a modern dance concert in a kung fu dojo, like everything is taken over by the arts.
All these interesting, cool things, and they try to imagine the unimagined.
Right. And it's like a chance for people to try out new things and be a little edgy and think outside the box.
And am I right here? The origins of the idea of a fringe festival began in Edinburgh.
Yes,
right?
Edinburgh,
in
Scotland. Yes, because
the Edinburgh, Kentucky. Yes, Scotland.
The artists lived on the quote unquote fringe of society,
right?
And for the festival, they would come from the fringe to the community and show what they do.
Right.
So, you know, it's the fringe providing a festival. And so that's what our Fringe Festival is patterned after. And, you know, it's always a highlight. There's always something.
You're going to find something that you would probably enjoy, or that will make you think, or that will likely entertain you.
Right.
Because there's such a variety of things to see.
Yeah.
So you got to name your picks. You were interviewed. You picked out some stuff. I know at least between us, one of the things you were talking about, you have interviewed a couple of the folks who are getting ready for the Fringe.
Yes.
And one of the things you didn't mention in that interview, I mean, LGBT Quiet.
Yeah.
Is also part of the Fringe Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that there's that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
And Brian Sanders.
Looking forward to Brian Sanders Junk. That's going to be fun.
Right.
And I started to freak out because, you know, my calendar is filling up with gigs. Yeah. And I'm going to be working on the day that we're going to see Brian Sanders Junk. And I was like, okay, I have a heart out. I need to be there to see this show. And you're like, oh, you'll be fine because you're working during the day. I was like, yay!
Right. Yeah, because we got the good tickets, so we got to get there.
Yeah, we did.
That's exciting.
Check out, look up Philadelphia Fringe Festival and check out the goings on. In fact, we'll put the website in the episode notes, because I guarantee there'll be something for you. If dance, theater, music, film, visual art, combinations and permutations.
So I will say this. The Fringe Festival doesn't always, shall we say, reach the northeast portion of Philadelphia.
Right.
For various reasons. But our bar was in the northeast. We had no money. When I tell you we had no money, we had no money.
Joe.
So we used to wait till the day after the last day of the Fringe Festival, right?
No,
I think
it was the last day.
it was the last day of the
Yes.
Fringe Festival.
Yes.
And because we couldn't afford to actually be affiliated in any way. And we called it the Fringe of the Fringe.
Right.
And so we collected all the artists we knew and did an evening-long showcase, really.
We booked it for the entire year leading up to it.
Yeah, we had dancers and bands and singers and performance artists and theater and spoken word and
A little bit of everything. Yeah.
drag and so we did that for a few years and then
Drag queens and kings.
and kings, and it morphed into our First Fridays.
Yeah.
So instead of doing one Fringe of the Fringe, we did a First Friday
Every month.
that incorporated visual arts.
Yes.
And then that way we had a new artist and a gallery exhibition and an opening and on every First Friday.
That was always so much fun.
We're so interesting.
I agree.
But yeah, the Fringe Festival is now.
Yeah.
It's happening all around us. And it's really is cool stuff. It really is a fun immersion into the arts. Most tickets are $20 or less.
Right.
Not all, but most.
Yeah. There are shows that are a bit pricier.
Yeah.
But, check out the Fringe Festival website and check out the guide, and you'll be able to see what fits your schedule, what fits your budget, and check out something new.
Yeah. And if you're not local to Philadelphia, maybe it will inspire you to steal the idea just like we stole it from Scotland.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yep.
Everything is possible.
It's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's exciting. It's exciting stuff coming up. I learned how to cook without nightshades. I don't know why I would ever use that skill again, but our friend does not eat nightshades.
Right. Anything from a vine.
Sort of. Mostly.
Right.
Right. But it's not a hard fast rule, but yes, vine things.
Right.
So I did. So I cooked several things. Like
your instincts kept kicking in. You're like, okay, I'm going to put in some tomato. Oh, wait. Well, how about some pepper?
No tomatoes, no peppers, no potatoes.
Right.
Right. Yeah, there were several things I put up, but I was like, I mean, it was interesting. So I made a spinach pesto.
That was
a
good as
spinach
hell.
Brazil nut pesto.
That was so good.
Right? Hey, I cook.
Isn't there still some pesto left?
I cook. There is pesto left, yes. Yes.
It just occurred to me that I'm hungry.
There you go. We
I
could
think we're
cook
at
a
the
little more.
end of our episode.
Cook a little more pasta, but no, it was interesting. I love the challenge of making something new under different rules.
Yeah.
Because I've done it. I've cooked for keto people.
Yeah.
I have absolutely cooked for folks with celiac.
Yep.
So I learned how to make my work environment gluten-free and use fresh ingredients that are known to be gluten-free and all of that. So yeah, it was just a different challenge to try to make something delicious and fun to eat that did not contain nightshades.
Yeah.
Which is an anti-inflammatory thing, she says.
Yes.
We don't agree, but I mean, I'll play along with anybody. And that's not to, I mean, she could be onto something. She knows how she feels, and I'm not diminishing that at all. I'm just saying, yeah, life is not worth living for me without tomatoes
and peppers
and potatoes.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
would die.
Oh my. But we did. We survived a whole weekend. We survived an entire weekend. And the food was delicious.
I agree.
Is there anything else?
No.
Now
I want pesto.
Now you want pesto. There is more pesto. We could do something about that. So, I guess in the meantime, I am Martha Madrigal.
And I am Charles Tyson Jr.
And you have been listening to Full Circle, the podcast. We appreciate you.
We do.
We hope you'll come back next week, and thank you.
Bye, everyone. Full Circle is a Never Scared Productions podcast, Hosted by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Produced and edited by Never Scurred. Executive produced by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Our theme and music is by the Jingleberries. All names, pictures, audio, and video clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.